Hello, this is part 2 of Monica Reza's last hike. I'm assuming you've seen part 1 if you're watching this video. I'm back on the trail and approaching the ill-fated corner where Monica disappeared. My goal for this video is to examine the story told about what occurred at the corner and near the corner. I want to look at each fact in the story and see what it looks like in the spot where it supposedly happened. The facts are, hiker A stops at the corner and looks back at Monica. She's either 30 feet or 30 yards still up the trail. He signals, "This is the place to turn," and she acknowledges him and then looks back down. Then he goes 150 feet down the trail and waits for 5 minutes. Then he comes back up the trail and starts searching and yelling for Monica. I'm going to pace out each of the stated distances and see what they look like here at the actual corner and down the trail. I want to see what Monica would have seen when approaching the corner. Could Monica still see hiker A when she reached the corner, or would he have passed out of view? Could Monica and hiker A see each other when he's 150 feet down the trail? Could they hear each other at that distance? What would Monica have seen if she had missed the corner and kept going straight? Where might she have gone if she had kept going straight away from the corner? I'm also curious if hiker A could have seen Monica wandering around in the area beyond the corner if he'd looked. After having done all that, I want to see if the story still makes sense. And here's the corner. Before we start pacing off distances and seeing what it looks like there on the trail, I just want to review where we're at. This is the Mount Waterman area of the Angeles National Forest. Our hikers came up this trail here. This is the bottom of the steep section. Came up here. This is the ill-fated corner where things happened or didn't happen. Just kind of want to point out that approaching the corner, you're already going downhill. And so it's a bit steep approaching the corner, and then, it's steep coming around the corner, and you're already starting to go downhill. So that's just keep that in mind. You're not on a level ground anymore as you're coming up to and going around that corner. All right, here's the corner that I decided in part 1 is the corner, the ill-fated corner. Hiker A and Monica came down from up that direction. And the plan was to turn. See it better if I come down the way they would be. So they're coming down, and there's this sharp right-hand turn, which takes you in the direction of the steep section. Remember, none of these logs were here on the day Monica went missing, and for all I know, the trail was less distinct. People may have done more trail grooming. I don't know. Wind can certainly blow more pine needles over the trail on any given day. Maybe there are more pine needles. But if you recall from part 1, I found it plausible that as Monica was coming down the hill or the path, and she was being careful looking down, she walked right past the corner. She didn't notice the change in terrain because it's largely the same, and assuming she made it this far at all, continued beyond the corner. But before we go explore those options, I'm going to come back to the corner and pace off 30 feet and 30 yards to show what that looks like from this vantage. This is what hiker A said was the separation between him and Monica, either 30 feet or 30 yards. So now I'm going to pace off 30 feet and then come back to this corner and look up the hill and show you how far away 30 feet looks. Let me pace off 10 paces, which would be 30 feet if I have a 3-foot pace, which will be close enough. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is 10 paces, which is a close approximation of 10 yards.
Let's turn around. There's the corner.
So it was at this point I realized I have a problem. There's no way to represent on camera what I actually see while I'm here. The pole looks closer in person, but I can also see more side to side in peripheral vision. The zoom level of the eye is kind of like that. It's 2x, but then you lose all the side by side in the video by going to 2x. So I don't know how useful it is to show these distances, but I'll show you what I have.
So that's what Monica would be seeing. That pole represents hiker A, and this is how far away 30 feet is. It's seconds away. You know, I'm here, and that would be Monica. So the 30 feet away is obviously very close. In the time it would take Monica to walk from there to the corner, hiker A would hike, you know, approximately the same distance, which would put him just past this boulder right here. Let me just walk down 10 paces. It's harder to walk paces when it's as steep as it is right here, but I will approximate it by eyeballing. He would have gotten about this far. And Monica would have easily seen him, easily have heard him. But this was one version of the story. She was 30 feet behind, missed a turn, and continued that way. I'm going to go reposition the backpack to 30 yards away and see what it looks like. All right, I'm at the backpack when it's 30 feet away or 10 paces. I'm going to step off 20 more paces, which would put me at 30 yards away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Just before this boulder pile. So let me turn around and show you what 30 yards looks like. Let me first go to 2x and do that same 2x experiment. That's what it would look like. You can see the pole kind of peeking up over that boulder just to the right of the trunk of the pine tree. All right, now I'm going to time myself to see how long it takes to go from here, approximately 30 yards away, to the pole that's just down there. I've moved the backpack up on this rock so I can see it a little better once I get down there. So anyways, let's do the timing. Go. Remember, keep in mind, I'm someone who is trying to get back to her friend, and so I am not presumably going at a leisurely pace, but I'm also trying to be careful, and this really is steep enough that you have to pay pretty close attention to what you're doing. And here we are approaching the corner, and boom, 26 and a half, 27 seconds just to get down here. Before we venture down there to see how far he could get in 26.4 seconds, let's take a look back uphill and see what hiker A would be seeing if Monica was right up ahead. And there is a little bend. If he was truly on the corner, he would barely be able to see her, but since he said he saw her, he may have taken one step down the hill so she could see him and he could see her. Let me go to a 2x again. This is what I see in my viewfinder, and it's pretty equivalent to what my eye sees. So that's how far away approximately 30 yards is, and that's what somebody would look like 30 yards away. So now I'm going to retrieve my backpack and I'm going to come back to the corner and hike 26 point some seconds down this way to see how far someone could get. All right, got my backpack at the corner, got the pole at the corner too. And now I'm gonna go 26.4 seconds down this hill towards the top of this steep section and see how far I get. All right, it's gonna go. Again, being somewhat careful, somewhat in a hurry. You really can't go too fast without poles. If I had poles, I could go faster. We're at 14 seconds, 16, 17. Trotting a little bit. I don't know if they were trotting, but I had to just to keep balance. 23, 24, 25, 26. Turn around. Okay, there's the backpack. If they were moving at approximately the same speed, let me go to 2x so you get to see what I see. 2x. If they were going at the same speed, Monica would have reached the corner by the time hiker A reached this point. So this is how far away hiker A would have been by the time Monica reached the corner. Let's go back up the hill and show you what that looks like from the corner. So back up the hill. All right, I moved my backpack to the spot that's about 26 and a half seconds down the hill, and we're looking at it on 2x. This, what you're seeing is what I'm seeing. That's what a person would look like 20 yards, 26 seconds away down the hill. Monica, if she had come this way and had looked, this is the view she would have seen, and obviously she wouldn't have missed him. He wouldn't have gone around the corner yet. I think I actually went faster than I would have normally because I didn't have poles, so he may even have gone less far down the hill. But in any case, the thing I was trying to find out is if he would have gone around the corner in the amount of time it took Monica to come from 30 yards away. And it's close, but and he would have to be going pretty fast, but I don't think he would have disappeared from view. So I think Monica would have seen him if she had looked.
I've gone back up the trail a bit and now coming down, approaching the corner. Hiker A said that after he signaled Monica where to turn, she looked back down. Now, looking down on the ground is common when you're hiking. You actually spend a lot of time looking down while you're hiking. But about the only time you really need to look right down at your feet is when you're coming through the boulders there. No, we're at the 30 yards away spot. Most of the time you're looking 6, 10 feet in front of you to make sure you're not going to trip over something as you approach it. That's relevant because you can see further when you're going downhill and looking down than when you're going uphill and looking down. You can see this for yourself. Go to the top of a stairwell and put something a few steps down and then stare at it. You'll notice the bottom of the stairs are easily within your peripheral vision. But if you're at the bottom of the stairs looking at something only a few steps up, the top of the stairs is well out of your peripheral vision. I say all this because I'm convinced at no time was hiker A out of Monica's peripheral vision as she was coming down the hill. And that makes it so much harder for me to understand how she missed the turn. Maybe the turn was harder to see back then. If only we could see what it looked like back then. Turns out there's a guy by the name of Joshua Spock who likes to go around and create street views of trails. And he created a street view of this very trail back in January 25th. So this is very close to what Monica would have seen. I've put a link to this street view in the Reza Files Google Drive folder. Let's look around at this street view. It's really interesting. Let's expand this. You can see he's approaching the corner. Let's shrink this down. That's the corner right there. You can see it's there's no logs, and it's much easier for someone to go straight. I almost see that people go straight sometimes. And I think back in 2025, going straight was the way you would continue on the 3 Points and Mount Waterman Loop Trail. Nowadays, you'd go down the hill and you'd turn left somewhere up there. I'll show that later. But yeah, this is what the trail looked like back in 2025. Let's pan around. There's the guy. He came down here. You can see the trail coming down is much less distinct, but it's not that hard to see. I still don't know how she missed it. Anyways, let's head on to the next experiment where I go 150 feet down the trail.
The next experiment I want to do is to pace off 150 feet and find the approximate location where hiker A is said to have waited for Monica. 150 feet is what, 50 paces, 50 yards, 50 paces. So let's count off 50 paces. It's too steep to actually take paces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a sort of a two-step pace. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 8, 49, 50. If that's any accuracy, that would be 150 feet from the corner. And this is where approximately he said they were going to wait or join back up and then head back down together. So it's supposed to be the start of the shortcut down to where hiker C was waiting, or at least down to the trail, down to the bottom of the steep section. The thing is, there is no shortcut that starts here or even a little bit further on down. Every way you would go besides the trail is going to be pretty tough bushwhacking. Well, not right here, but it's steep, and I don't know that it would save you any time. It might be shorter, but once you get into the really steep bushwhacking stuff, you're going to be slowing down your pace, and anybody who's taking the trail would beat you down to wherever the end of the shortcut is. So again, this part of the story seems fishy.
In order to understand why they might even think that there's a shortcut, I'm coming back to the map here. Might be better to do this in 2D. So right here, this is 150 feet down from the corner. And if they're looking at their map, and they might decide that, oh, they could cut across here and join up with the trail and avoid having to go the long way. But of course, if hiker A was at the corner and you had to walk to her, you just eliminated any benefit of the shortcut. But I've since learned, since posting part 1, that hiker C was not actually sitting at the bottom the whole time. She said she was exploring this section here and not just sitting. So maybe they knew that, hiker A and Monica knew that, and felt it would be efficient to take a shortcut and meet hiker C somewhere here. That's about the only reason I could think of that they would even contemplate a shortcut. The thing is, at least to me, that's pretty naive thinking, because, this is the first time they've been on this trail, and they wouldn't actually know what they were encountering if they came this way. So, yeah, I don't think it was a wise thing to consider. But I could see if you're looking at a map and you're hoping to find a shortcut, this would be tempting. But however tempting it might be, these distances aren't that great, so this shortcut isn't really going to save you that much. So let's assume they come down here and they think hiker C is somewhere along here. Well, they're not going to know exactly where along there, so they're going to have to come up or down the trail a little ways before they find her. We can use build custom route to actually measure the distances they would travel. So let's see how far it is from about here to here. That's a little over 2/10 of a mile. Let's instead go around on the trail. That's a half a mile. So they've saved 3/10 of a mile by taking the shortcut. That's not a great shortcut, but let's say they took that shortcut. They're still going to need to go some distance up and down looking for her. So let's say they go as far as here looking for hiker C. Let's add that to the total. Okay, so 5/10 of a mile versus 3/10 of a mile. They saved 2/10 of a mile by taking this shortcut that they have no idea what they're going to encounter along the way. Anyways, it's just an idiotic idea. Moving on.
According to the story, hiker A hiked down here and turned around and didn't see Monica, who was at most 26 and a half seconds behind, or approximately, maybe at most 30 seconds behind, but maybe even as little as 10 seconds or 7 seconds behind. And then he waited for 5 minutes. That's what the story is. The story is hiker A came 150 feet down the trail, didn't see Monica, and waited for 5 minutes. Let's wait for 5 minutes here at this spot just to see what that feels like. Let me get the timer out. Feel free to fast forward through this if you don't want to actually wait 5 minutes with me, but I'm going to wait the 5 minutes. I mean, if this were me and I had a hiking friend who was 7, 10, 30 seconds behind me and I'd gotten to this point, turned around and didn't see them, I would immediately walk back up the hill and wait for them. But the story is that's not what hiker A did. Hiker A waited for 5 minutes. How long have we waited so far? We've waited 1 minute and 20 seconds. All right. Got a ways to go. I'm doing this experiment to just show how absurd this is. Either the tale is wrong, as it has been conveyed through the internet, or hiker A vastly overestimated how long he waited, or something else. I'll leave it up to you to decide what the something else is. As I said in part 1, I'm getting this information from various sources online, and the definitive information that I'm relying on came from people who said they either volunteered with the search or talked to people who volunteered with the search, or they themselves talked with hiker A and volunteered with the search. None of the people were authorities conducting the search or professional search and rescue, police, rescue. So this is all second, sometimes third-hand information. But the people conveying it seemed to know what they were talking about, because they were describing this area, and I'm somewhat familiar with this area, and what they were describing was accurate to my memories of it. So it's not like they were somebody in Connecticut who was just making up stuff. Sorry, Connecticut. I really think they were out here, and they were volunteering and talking with people, including hiker A. I can show you the posts that I'm referring to. Now, how long have we waited? just under 4 minutes. We got 1 more minute to go. All right, coming up on 5 minutes. All right, 5 minutes. That's how long the story says hiker A waited. And as you can see, if you waited with me the whole 5 minutes, who in the right mind would wait 5 minutes for somebody who is at most 30 seconds behind them?
Before heading up to the corner, I've set up this brightly colored shirt because I want to show you all that if someone was standing at this 150-foot mark and looking off in this direction, they would see Monica wandering around in this area ahead of us. If she had missed a corner and gone this way, then this is a lot of the area she would have been wandering in, initially at least. So anyways, let's go up to the corner and wander off and see what happens. So here's the ill-fated corner. Monica was coming down the hill from the left, right there, coming down, approaching the corner, and instead of turning, coming the direction we are standing, she instead went straight like this, and let's see what that looks like. As you can see, it looks pretty wide open straight ahead, and I think we've established that had Monica looked, she would have seen hiker A, but we're pretending that she didn't look. Let's keep going. Looking around, it's a little bit steep here, so you got to be a bit careful. So I'm Monica, and I've been looking down the trail to be careful, and now I look up and look around. I should expect to see hiker A, but he's nowhere to be seen. The big mystery of all this is why didn't she immediately turn around and look for him? I don't know. Well, let's keep going down this way and see what Monica would see if she had gone this direction. You can see it looks pretty wide open, as I said before. Still got to be careful. Let's see how steep it is. Look at how far that pine cone rolls. Yeah, that's about how steep it is. Let's keep going. Well, how far have we come so far? I mean, we haven't come that far. The corner is just right up there. Can't really tell there's a corner there, but that's where the corner is. Shirt's off in that direction somewhere, but we can't see it yet. How far do we have to go down before we can see it? As I work my way down, I look ahead and I think, well, which direction could Monica go? She could go sharp left, which would be over in that direction, but that doesn't seem that appealing, really steep. It seems more appealing to continue going in this direction. Seems like a flat area over there. So let's head that way. We're closer to the flat area now. Let's look up the hill and see if we can see anything. That's the direction we came from. See those spiky tree roots? I'm going to use that as a reference point. That is where close to where the trail is. Still can't see the orange shirt yet. Let's go a little bit further down. As I get further into the flat area, I can see you could go off to the left here. And that's kind of tempting. It looks safe and appealing. You can kind of make out some roads in that direction, so that might draw you that way. If you look straight ahead, you might notice a trail. That is actually part of the 3 Points Mount Waterman Trail. If you do notice the trail, you'd certainly be tempted to go that way. Yes. Very tempting. But I'm curious, where are we in relation to hiker A? Let's turn around and look up the hill. And there he is, staring at us. He would have easily seen Monica if she'd wandered into this open space. Let's take a look back the direction we came. We haven't come that far. If I zoom in, you can see the spiky roots that are near the corner. There they are. I'm curious to see exactly when we came into view of hiker A. Let's backtrack a little bit. Look up the hill. Let's see. Can't see. Oh, there it is, right between those two rocks. That is where Monica would come into view of hiker A. Okay, well, we have to assume they didn't see each other because Monica went missing. Don't know why he didn't see her. She didn't see him. So let's continue on down. We're further into the open space and it's more clear you can go either left, straight, or to the right. I want to find out how far she could go in any of these directions and still be within view of hiker A. Let's do left first. The ground doesn't look too challenging here. Let's go a little bit further and then turn around and see if hiker A could still see Monica from this point. Let's zoom in, and there he is. He could still see her if she'd gone this far. Okay, let's go a little bit further and do the same test. How about past this boulder? Okay, let's turn around and see if he can see her from here. Yep, can still see her. She could still see him if she had looked. Probably even more important is they would have heard each other because there's nothing in between them that would have blocked the sound. Let's continue on down until we find the place where she would pass out of view of him. Okay, let's turn around and see if he could still see her. Yeah, I don't think so. I think we finally passed out of view. Let's head back up and see if we can find this spot where she disappears from view. Getting closer, getting closer. How about here? Yeah, he could have still seen her from this spot. Let's look around. What does this spot look like? Okay, we've come quite a ways. We've got a tree on the ground. We got this tree leaning against boulders. We got this dead tree. So this is where she would have passed out of view if she'd have gone down and then to the left. Let's head back up and try one of the other directions. Okay, we're coming upon the 3 Points Mount Waterman Loop Trail. Let's find out how far away we are from the trailhead. I'll zoom in on those spiky roots. There they are. Okay, zooming back out. We've come this far. And of course, he can still see us because we're in the middle of the open area. Let's venture on to the, north, but if you were coming downhill, it would be to your right, and see how far she could have gone down this way and still be within view. I can still see the shirt up there. It's starting to get behind some pine branches, but you can still see it. There it is. So obviously still within view here. We haven't gone too far to the right. Let's head on down and see what we can find out. Ground is, again, steep, but not too bad. Not impossible. All right. Can he still see her from here? Yep. there's the shirt. Can still see her from here. Okay, let's go a little bit further. I'd be surprised if he could still see her from here, given the pine branches, but let's check. Oh yeah, he could. Okay, a little bit further. We're kind of beating a dead horse, but I still want to be thorough. How steep is it right here? And there it goes. Fairly steep. Yeah, I don't want to go too far in this direction. Still want to stay safe. But a little bit further. Certainly doesn't look like a promising direction to go if I was lost and wanted to get somewhere. Anyways, can he see her? Yeah, barely. I can see the shirt. Not able to focus because of that stupid branch, but the shirt is there. He could technically still see her if she'd come this far. I'm going to head back up. Okay, returning to the 3 Points Mount Waterman Trail. Okay, walking west along the 3 Points Mount Waterman Trail. Let's come around this boulder and, oh, you can see the road from here. Yeah, there goes the car. And the parking lot. Can he see her from this spot? Yep, just to the right of that trunk. Still see the shirt. Okay, so she's on the 3 Points Mount Waterman Trail at this boulder. Let's go around the boulder and a little bit further down. Okay, she's come around that slabby looking boulder. Can he see her? Yes, he could still see her. Let's go a little bit further west. Oh, there's a little cairn. I'd really be surprised if he could see her this far. Let's find out. Oh, I guess we haven't gone that far. Maybe he can still see her. And we're zooming in. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, the shirt is there. He would really need to be peering through the branches to see her, but maybe still see her. Let's go just a little bit further. We're quite a ways down the 3 Points Mount Waterman Loop Trail. Now let's see what we can see when we zoom in. Can't quite see it with my naked eye. Let's try zooming in. Yeah, I can still see it. There it is. So if he was standing by that rock, he could still see her. Wow, I'm surprised. I guess we need to go a little bit further. How about in this open space here? Can't possibly see her if she came this far. Okay, looking around, those boulders probably obscure her finally. Yeah, I can't see anything. Zooming in, zooming in, zooming in, zooming in. I don't see anything. Wait a second. Oh my God. I can see the shirt through the branches. Let's try to zoom in on it. There it is. Unbelievable. Well, I think I've beaten this dead horse enough. I hope I have successfully demonstrated that if she had wandered into this open area, she could go in a number of directions for quite a distance, and yet he would still be able to see her. Let's head back to the shirt and end this experiment. Before we get to the shirt, I want to point out one thing just to be thorough. Let's come back over here where she would have come down from the corner, and he would have seen her if she'd gone left, straight, or right, and quite a long ways. However, there's one other way she could have gone. I have to get up the hill a little bit further to demonstrate. So if she'd come down the corner, she would have seen this open area, and that's what I assume she would have headed for. But she could have turned sharply left and headed this way. And if she had, she never would have come into view. The boulders behind me would have obscured his view. But I just can't see someone coming down from the corner and going this way instead of going to the flat area. So a funny thing happened when I went back to get the shirt. I go to reach for the shirt and I hear something behind me. And lo and behold, some people are walking through the open area, heading down the 3 Points Mount Waterman Loop Trail. And I can see them clear as day. I'm sure if I yelled down to them, they could hear me. And there they go. Still see them through the pine branches. Anyway, there's a funny coincidence.
Some guys who were passing by to do a sound check. We're at the 150-foot mark, approximately. I'm gonna go back up to the corner and yell down and see if they can hear me and see if I can hear them. So here I am, going back up. Can you hear me? Yeah, they could hear me and I could hear them. Thanks a lot. Have a great hike.
What's the name of it?
Side Quest Hiker.
Side Quest Tiger?
Side Quest Hiker.
Hiker. Okay, I heard tiger.
Okay.
Search you up, man.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Have a good one.
You too.
Not sure how well that will come through on the video, but I could definitely hear them, but it wasn't easy to hear them. I find it somewhat plausible that if someone were to miss that turn up there and keep going down, maybe off to the south, that would be probably the quickest way to get out of view, they might not hear someone calling for them. Search and Rescue did much more sophisticated and widespread sound testing up here and found that it really makes a big difference how far sound will travel. Line of sight, whether it has to go around boulders that are up and over ridges, makes a huge difference. Got to keep all of this in mind when trying to figure out what really happened. Oh yeah, I told you I'd show you where the new turn is for the 3 Points Mount Waterman Loop Trail. Here it is, just past that boulder. So, used to be up by the corner, now it's there. Anyway, so what really happened at the corner? The story makes no sense. There are so many unanswered questions. Why did he come down 150 feet? Why did he wait 5 minutes? Why did they think there was a shortcut here? Why didn't he see her as she walked through the open area? Why did she miss the turn? And ultimately, what happened to her? The story makes so little sense that I have to believe something is missing from the story. Some crucial piece of information that would help it make sense. When I try to figure out what might be a missing piece of the puzzle, I come to why he may have waited for 5 minutes. What is a typical reason one hiker would wait for another hiker? Probably one of the most common reasons is that one of the hikers needs to make a pit stop. It's not part of the story told online, but maybe Monica asked him to go down the trail a bit and wait for her while she took care of business. I think I'm going to head back up to the corner and play around with this idea. So I'm Monica. I'm about 30 feet behind hiker A. He's at the corner gesturing, got to go right. She says, okay, why don't you head down the trail a bit? I got to find a place to take care of business. He continues walking that way. And Monica starts looking around. Straight ahead doesn't seem like a good option. Those rocks don't really work very well. Let's look around in this direction. Don't see anything immediately. How about that boulder? Would that give enough concealment to give me some privacy? Let's head up here and check them out. Oh yeah, these boulders wouldn't do the job. The trail is basically right there. I wouldn't feel like I would have any privacy. I need to find another spot. Let's go further over that way. Maybe there's a boulder in that direction that will work better. I don't like that boulder. It's kind of steep in that direction. There's a promising boulder. Let's head over there and see if that would work. There are a lot of pine needles on the ground here, but that doesn't make the ground that treacherous. Let's keep heading towards the boulder. I think I'll go around the boulder on this side. As I come up upon the boulder, I start to look around to get an idea of how private this spot might be. So far, so good. Oh yeah, this looks very promising. Okay, there's a nice little corner I can tuck myself into, duck down, and take care of business. I feel I have a fair amount of privacy here, so I think this is a good spot. And when I was done, all I would need to do to get back to the trail is come back around the boulder from the direction I came and just head back up this way. If Monica did come down here to make a pit stop, then what happened after that? Well, we're out of facts to examine, so all we can do is continue to speculate. So let's do that. So let's say Monica did come out from around the boulder and then something happened. Maybe she saw a mountain lion, she was trying to get away from it. Maybe she saw some creepy dude, or maybe she just was disoriented. We can't really say for sure what happened. So let's go with the she was disoriented idea and went down that way instead of back up to the trail. This might explain one other thing. Recall that hiker A didn't see her wandering around in the open area. Is there a path Monica naturally would have taken from the boulder that would have kept her out of view of hiker A? Well, maybe. Let's take a look. Consider the possibility she came out from around the boulder and was disoriented and turned left and started going down the hill close to that little ravine there. Maybe she went towards that pile of rocks there. Let's head down to those rocks and see what we can see. Search and rescue people say one of the tendencies of disoriented people is to go downhill. So it's plausible a disoriented person coming from behind the boulder went this way. Let's turn around and see where we're at. Yeah, there's no way hiker A could see her here. She's kind of in a depression. Also from here, you can't see the desert or the ocean or the city. This may have added to her disorientation. Why was she disoriented at all? Well, again, this is all speculation, so I can't answer that question. It's just a train of thought I'm trying to follow. So another thing search and rescue people say is that people also follow the path of least resistance. So as I go along this direction, I'm going to purposely go what I think is an easy way and avoid things that look harder. And I'll just see where that leads me. So straight ahead this way, slightly to the right looks better than to the left. So I'm not going to go to the left. I may go straight and see what I can see that way. It's kind of veer right. Again, there's no way hiker A could see her. And again, the directional cues I talked about in part 1, you can't see desert, city, or ocean. Let's go a little further, being careful. All right, we're getting closer to boulders that I don't want to contend with, so I'm not going to go straight here. I'm going to veer to the right and go through here. That looks a little easier, a little path of least resistance strategy. Again, that doesn't look easy, so I don't want to go that way. Let's take a closer look, just curious. Yeah, it doesn't look easy to go that way. Let's head this way. This looks much easier. It's steep, but not impossible. How about going down this way? I want to go downhill. I'm disoriented. Does this help? Seems like we're getting into an area that is, again, not a good way to go. Let's take a closer look. I just see shrubs and boulders. Not an easy path. Let's head back up around this way. Oh, that was interesting. What was that? The ground opened up underneath me and my foot went in it. Yeah, a mountain will throw everything it has at you if you're not careful. Oh, here's that tree leaning up against a boulder pile. That tells us we're definitely out of view from hiker A's position. Let's continue going this way, see if we can find a viable path downhill that is also easy. This doesn't look too promising. Cool looking boulders though. But we can't go that way. Let's go around this way. Can't see hiker A. Okay, here's a path that continues in the downhill direction we want. Of course, this all assumes Monica is panicking, doesn't know where she is, and is just going on instinct. I mean, it's also possible she's fleeing from something. This is all speculation. But this is a downhill path. Look at this boulder pile we're behind now. This would really block any sound coming towards us. It would make it really hard for us to hear anybody who was shouting for us up by the corner. Let's go a little bit further and see what we can see. Okay, this is as far as I want to go. If I wanted to go further, I can see a route. You know, I'd kind of start off to the right and snake around. You can kind of see a path through boulders. And the interesting thing about what we're looking at is the red beanie was found somewhere right around there. So again, this is a plausible path. This is also the area that search and rescue search the most. Down there is Devil's Canyon. And they spent a lot of time searching from this point on down towards there. So maybe they knew something that we don't as the public. I just noticed something. When I'm standing here and looking in this direction, it almost seems like there's a path down there. Maybe she saw that too. I think it's just an illusion, but I'm telling you, it looks like there might be a faint path down there, so maybe she was trying to head for it. There actually is a path down there, a little further. It's the 3 Points and Mount Waterman Loop Trail. It starts at the 3 Points trailhead and goes east along the south flank, eventually on up to the mountain in that direction, Mount Waterman. A lot of people speculate that if Monica did come down this way, why didn't she see that trail and take it? If you look at the street view of that part of the trail just below the hill here, some of it is obvious, but some of it you could miss if you're coming down the hill. It just occurred to me that had she looked in this direction, she would have seen these roads, and maybe that was further incentive to go in that direction. Well, I think I've done enough speculating. I'm going to head back and take a look at that hole I stepped into. That was a new experience for me. I can understand post holing in snow, but post holing in dirt? I think that hole is just up around the corner here. Let me look. Where is that guy? Oh, here it is. I bet this hole has some relationship to the pit that's just to the right that was formed when a tree fell over. A literal pitfall. I wonder if there's a big pit somewhere on this hillside that has a very unpleasant surprise for any searcher. Well, time to wrap things up, head back, and see if we can come to any conclusions. Well, the only firm conclusion I can make is that the story as presented makes absolutely no sense. The only way I can make it make sense is to invent some facts. If Monica did ask Hiker A to wait for her as she took a pit stop, then that would explain why he waited. If she got disoriented coming off behind the boulder, then that could explain why she wandered off and Hiker A didn't see her wandering. The instinct to go downhill and take the path of least resistance led in the direction of where her beanie was found. That path also took her behind a big boulder pile, which would make it harder for her to hear people shouting for her. So all that's very interesting. But why wasn't this pit stop theory presented as part of the facts? Maybe Hiker A left it out of the story in some misguided attempt to protect Monica's dignity. Again, pure speculation. Maybe he didn't want to say this brilliant JPL scientist went behind a rock to relieve herself and then got lost. Who knows? What I do know is that a Monica pit stop is not part of the story released to the public. So that just leaves us with a story that makes no sense. And since all the facts of this story reportedly come from Hiker A, you gotta wonder if he was telling the whole truth. Well, I'll leave that question to the professional investigators. But I have to say, if that's truly the story he's telling, it doesn't paint him in a very good light. And if that's not bad enough, there are people online saying things about Hiker A that also paint him in a poor light. You can find those statements if you dig around, but I'm not going to post them here. I don't want to pile on. So what do I think happened to Monica? Unfortunately, until we find her, there's no way to know. The story is so problematic that you can't draw any conclusions from it. Did she just wander off and get lost? Did she get attacked by a mountain lion, dragged away? Did Hiker A see Monica fall to her death? And then he panicked and made up a ridiculous story? Did Monica fall victim of foul play by someone who wasn't Hiker A? We can only make guesses. And I think I've done enough speculating for one video. You may be disappointed that I didn't solve Monica's disappearance, but that wasn't the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is really just to point out how ridiculous the story is that's being told online. And I hope I achieved that goal. Maybe someone could take the observations I've made in this video and continue the investigation of Monica's disappearance and bring some closure to Monica's family and friends.